If you're a planner, scheduler, and organizer, you're gonna love this video today. If you're a hopeless romantic that values and idolizes chemistry and spontaneity, we may not be friends today, but stick with me because I have something for you too. You may have never thought about this, but you know, marriage is a lot like a mullet. You know, business up top, party in the back. So today what I want to talk about is why I believe your marriage is an essential business, and one shift that if you make that has the power to transform any relationship. That's what we'll talk about today on Relation Shots. Welcome to Relation Shots. My name's Eric Wooten, and if this is your first time hanging out with us, thanks for stopping by. Go ahead, if you have not already, click the subscribe button and the bell notification so you don't miss an opportunity to be the relationship expert in your family. Today we're going to talk about this topic of marriage as an essential business. See, I already lost the romantics again. Stay with me. During this corona pandemic, we've been hearing a lot about what is and is not an essential business. Anything that is can stay open, and anything not deemed to be essential, anything about luxury or personal pleasure or social interaction, that gets put to the side. Do you know the same thing happens in marriages all the time if you're not aware of it? In every relationship, there's a business component, top of the mullet, and there's a fun or relationship component, back of the mullet. Yeah, that was me in the 90s. I had a mullet. You had whack hairdos too. Let's just move on. Nobody started the dating process thinking, I've got to find the perfect partner that I can argue about finances with, that I can navigate in-law issues with, that I can fight with about how to discipline and parent the kids. Nobody got into marriage thinking that. We got into marriage for the fun part. And so what happens is you jump into a marriage not recognizing there's actually a business component to the marriage, and pretty soon after a few years of marriage, you find yourself in this place where it feels like every conversation is a purely business logistical transaction. Hey, did you pay the mortgage? Hey, can you take Johnny to his dentist appointment on Tuesday? Hey, the washing machine's leaking again. Hey, Melissa's teacher emailed and said she hadn't turned in an assignment all week and you need to have a talk with her. And at this point, you're going to convince yourself that something is wrong with the marriage. You'll convince yourself, I married the wrong person. You'll say something like this, I love him, but I'm not in love with him. The problem is not your relationship. The problem is not your spouse. The problem is that you are still operating with a faulty mindset that you developed during dating. So the key is not to wish away or avoid the business conversations. The key is to separate the business aspect from marriage from the relationship aspect of marriage or the fun aspect of marriage, so that the essential business does not take over the reason you got married, which was to enjoy relationship and intimacy with one another. The good news for you today is I have the perfect solution. And this is the perfect time with the COVID-19 lockdown, your shelter in place. This is the perfect time for you to implement what I'm about to tell you. So every week, here's what I want you to do. I want you to have one staff meeting and 2 date nights. Got that? Every week, one staff meeting, 2 date nights. Here's what the staff meeting looks like. This is the time when you talk about the logistics of the relationship. What's our budget look like? What do we have coming up this week? Appointments, things we can't get out of that we have to do but we don't love to do. This is also the time when you're going to ask for feedback on areas of the relationship that you've been working on. So for instance, maybe your husband says he wants you to be more affectionate. This is your time as a wife to say, how have I done this week in being more affectionate, and listen for feedback. Maybe the husband, your job was to be more active in helping around the house or with the kids' homework. This is your chance to say, hey, how'd I do this week, and stepping up and helping out. I can tell you from experience that feedback always feels better when you ask for it than when it's just given to you when you're not ready for it. That's the staff meeting. Now, the date night doesn't have to be something elaborate, something outside the house or expensive. The key is this is a time where our focus is solely on the relationship and intimacy. recreational intimacy, emotional, intellectual intimacy. This is us hanging out and having fun. And everybody's different. It may be watching a TV show you like together. It may be playing a card game or a board game together. It may be getting online and Googling 20 questions to ask your spouse and just ask each other questions and get into conversation. The key here is that you're just connecting relationally and you're not allowing any business to come into this moment. You are telling the essential business aspect of marriage where it gets to go and the fun relational part where it gets to go, and they don't mix. It's kind of like some of you with your church friends and your trifling friends. You normally don't invite them to the same get-togethers, so you know what I'm talking about. Not only will this protect the relational aspect of your marriage, but for those of you where one spouse is a planner and the other's not a planner, I promise you this will help your communication issues. Let me tell you what I mean. Here's what happens in a lot of marriages where there's a planner and there's a not planner. The planner always wants to have conversations about where are we going and what are we doing and how's the budget and all these things. And the non-planner, he really hates those conversations. They're exhausting. And on top of it, all the questions that the planner puts on the non-planner actually feel like criticism, sometimes make them feel demeaned. And so what happens is the non-planner avoids conversation. Well, all this does is guarantee that when the planner does get to talk to you, they're going to get in all their questions because now they have less conversations with you, which feeds the cycle again. You avoid more conversations, which only guarantees that the only conversations you have with the planner are now all the questions you've been avoiding. So what happens with a staff meeting is the planner now knows every week I have my time where I'm going to get answers to the questions I really need in order to plan out my week and feel good about where we're going. The non-planner knows, hey, all I got to do is drink some coffee, put on my big boy pants once a week to go in there and get nailed with questions. And now the rest of the time I'm freed up where I can actually interact with you and don't have to worry about all the questions. So it actually solves both sides' problems by setting a staff meeting. I promise you it'll help the communication issues you've been having if you're a planner and a non-planner and you've been avoiding conversations. So your homework this week is to schedule one staff meeting and 2 date nights. Put them on the calendar and do not compromise. Do not miss them. I promise you, your relationship will thank you. If this video was helpful to you, consider sharing it with a friend and don't forget to join the conversation below in the comment section. I want to hear how it worked for you and what's changed in your relationship. Thank you for hanging out with us. We'll see you next time on Relation Shots.